So about The Boxer, I am not really sure how popular this series actually is, since it is a webtoon, and I know pretty much nothing about them. I have read/watched 3 webtoons only, The Boxer being my 4th webtoon. One of them was Tower of God. I watched the season and then I caught up to the webtoon. Then God of High School, which I watched. I plan to read the webtoon for it too, but I haven't gotten around to it. My friend reads it though, and he thinks it's pretty good, so I'll give it a try when I get around to it. And the last webtoon I watched is Nibble SE. It was pretty decent, but the other 2 are a lot better in my opinion. If you haven't checked out any of these, which will be pretty surprising, because at least for Tower of God and God of High School, they were pretty popular while they were airing. And while we were on the topic of Tower of God, check out my video about it. I talked about the current state of the anime since it's been a while since we heard anything about it. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that I have very limited webtoon knowledge. I think there's another one that I put on my list of things to watch or read, but I can't remember the name. So I don't really know why just out of the blue I decided to read The Boxer. I was in music class playing keys on a piano or something when my friend walked up to me talking about it, and he told me I should read The Boxer since it was something I would probably like. I put out my phone in class and opened up the Webtoon app on my phone. That might have been the first time I hooked onto a series like that before. I just started reading it since I was bored in class, but I got invested into it pretty fast. In class I finished about 10 chapters. I would have finished it in a day honestly, but I had stuff to do so I couldn't read that much. It's only around 80 chapters I believe, so it isn't really that long. Right now I'm around chapter 40, like 2 days after I first started reading it, so I decided to talk about it today because it is a surprisingly good series. Before I get into it though, remember to like and subscribe for future anime videos. If you're a heavy sports anime enjoyer, this will definitely be a series that you want to check out. I am not that into sports anime. I mean, I watch a decent amount, but there's still quite a few that I should probably check out. But if you're like a heavy sports anime fan, more likely than not this is something that you will like, especially if you enjoy boxing animes like Hajime no Ippo or Megalobox or Ashita no Joe. The story's not similar to those though. All those other boxing shows have similar traits, but The Boxer is pretty different from the rest of them. A basic explanation of the story is this. Our main character Yu is a high schooler that spends his day doing nothing basically. He gets bullied in school and gets picked on, and he has no friends. But it's not that he's depressed about anything. I mean, he doesn't live with his parents, so they might have died or just walked out on him. But that isn't what causes him to act the way that he does. It's just that he's extremely bored. Not with just school, but everything in life. He views the world in a completely different perspective from other people. He is shown to do things like get perfect scores and just perform really well on basically anything. He lacks enjoyment because he doesn't feel challenged with anything that he does, and one of those many things also happens to be boxing. One day a world-renowned coach comes in his area to look at possible future boxers that he could train, and he comes across another kid before he does Yu. This other kid is basically the equivalent of My Hero Academia's Bakugo. He's an asshole and bullies kids, but also is very gifted. He was sparring with someone who was ranked 3rd in their weight class, and he held his own with no real boxing experience. All he did was fight other delinquents, and the coach sees promise in him and keeps note of him for the future. But he also later sees Yu. When he sees Yu, he's actually getting beat up by a group of kids. To most people, it will just look like he was getting bullied, but the coach saw something completely different. He could tell Yu would have easily been able to avoid those hits and beating all those kids up, but he felt so bored to the point that he didn't feel like avoiding them. But the coach wasn't exactly positive about it, so he had to test his theory. He walked up to Yu, and with a serious punch that could knock someone out, he tried to punch him, but Yu dodged it pretty effortlessly, which confirmed the coach's observations about Yu, and he instantly offers to train him under his wing in boxing. Yu doesn't seem so sure about it though, so the coach gives Yu a month to decide since that's how long he will stay in the area. Skip a few scenes, and a guy that was trying to be friends with Yu is trying to save him while he's getting jumped, and one of the people who are jumping Yu also happens to be the prodigy kid that I mentioned earlier. Yu's friend actually does pretty good, but he gets annihilated by the prodigy kid, and when the prodigy kid is beating on Yu's friend, that is when he decides to actually fight back. With his main character Aura, he took down all the bullies with no real issue, and after he heads back to the gym to tell the coach that he wants to learn to box. That's a brief summary of like the first 10 chapters. I skipped a few plot points, but you get the point that I'm trying to make. I am still pretty early in the story. As I said, I'm only around 40ish chapters in, and the latest chapters are in the 80s, so a little under half, but it looks very promising. It will be interesting to see Yu's career as a boxer develop down the road. In a way, he reminds me of Mob from Mob Psycho 100. They are both extremely strong, but also have no desire to really do anything, so I hope he ends up like Mob or starts to gain interest in whatever that may be. I asked my friend about it, and he said he's still mostly depressed looking, but he also said that Yu is making progress and gaining things that he actually cares about, so definitely looking forward to where the series will go. It still has a lot more story to tell from my understanding, but yeah, that is mostly all I have to say about The Boxer. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe for future content. Peace.